ASMR facts or whispered facts video. And today I made a composition collage of some of the major events that shocked the world at their time. And we're gonna take it in a chronological order. We start with 1912. 1912. Well, actually in 1912, one of the most major events is at the sinking of Titanic. And the Titanic sunk on early morning of 15th of April 1912 in the North Atlantic Ocean, 4 days into her maiden voyage from Southampton to New York City. Okay, and Titanic had an estimated 2,224 people. 2,224 people on board when he struck an iceberg around 23 o'clock on Sunday 14 April 1912, her sinking 2 hours and 40 minutes later resulted in 1,500 people dead, and this event making it the deadliest peacetime maritime disaster in history. Right. Perfect. Some stuff. Alright, the next. The Black Year, or the start of the 30s is the New York stock market crash on 1929, or the Wall Street crash. In 1929, it's also known as the Great Crash, or the Black Thursday. That event was a major American stock market crash that occurred in the autumn of 1929. It started in September and ended in mid-November when the share prices on the New York Stock Exchange collapsed. It was the most devastating stock market crash in history of the United States. The Great Crash is mostly associated with October 24, 1929, or called the Black Thursday. Black Thursday. The day of the largest sell-off shares in US history, when investors traded some 60 million shares in a single day. The aftermath will be the start of the Great Depression that lasted from 1929 to 1933. Right. Next, it's the start of the World War II. World War II. Good. Well, actually, this happened in 1939. World War II or the Second World was abbreviated as World War II, was a global conflict much larger than World War I, and it lasted from 1939 to 1945. And it began in September 1939 with the German invasion of Poland. next event is closely related to the World War II because it's happened in 1941, and the aftermath will be the joining of the United States in the global conflict of the World War II. And this is about the attack on Pearl Harbor. Yes, the attack on Pearl Harbor was a surprise military strike by the Imperial Japanese Navy upon the United States against the United States U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor in Honolulu, Hawaii. And this happened just before 8 a.m. local time on Sunday, December 7, 1941. At that time, United States was a neutral country in the World War II, but still supplying with provisional armament and goods the Allies. The attack led to its formal entry into World War II on the side of the Allies, right in the next day. Right. And because we are talking about World War II, the next event again shocked the world. And it's about the first atomic bomb used and dropped on cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan. And this happened in 1945. Well, the two events happens on 6 and 9 August 1945. The United States detonated two atomic bombs over the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The aerial bombing together killed between 129 and 226,000 people. Most were civilians, and this event remained the only use of nuclear weapons in an armed conflict. The reason was that the United States wanted to force a quick surrender by the Japanese to reduce the number of American lives lost. The aftermath was that Japan surrendered to the Allies on the 15th of August, 6 days after the bombing of the Nagasaki, and the Soviet Union's declaration of war against Japan, and in the Soviet Union invasion of Japanese occupied Manchuria. This was the aftermath. The Japanese government signed the Instrument of Surrender on 2 September, effectively ending the World War II. So, the World War II started with the invasion of Poland in 1939 and ended up with the use of atomic bomb against the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And these three events are very close related. Good. Now let's move to some more peaceful events, but still shock the world. And the next one occurred in 1961. 1961. Well, actually, it's related about the first man that took the first flight in space. His name was Yuri Gagarin. Yuri Gagarin. From the Soviet Union was the first human in space. His vehicle was Vostok 1, circled Earth at a speed of 27,000 was controlled by a computer. Unlike the early US human spaceflight programs, Gagarin did not land inside of a capsule. Right. Okay, the next one. The next event that shocked the world happened in 1963. On 22 November, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States, was assassinated while riding in a presidential motorcade through Delay Plaza in Dallas, Texas. Kennedy was in the vehicle with his wife Jacqueline and the Texas Governor John Connally and Connally's wife Nellie when he was fatally shot from the nearby Texas School Book Depository by a former US Marine named Lee Harvey Oswald. Alright, Kennedy's assassination is still the subject of widespread debate and has spawned numerous conspiracy theories and alternative scenarios. Some polls have found that the majority of Americans believe there was a pure conspiracy. Good. Next. Well, another event related to the space flight. It happens in 1969 when the world was when the world witnessed the first human steps on the moon, and it happened with the Apollo 11 program. Well, Neil Armstrong first step onto the lunar surface was broadcasted on live TV to a worldwide audience. He described the event as one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Apollo 11, the program, effectively proved US victory in the space race to demonstrate space flag's superiority to the Soviet Union by fulfilling a national goal proposed in 1961 by the president of John Fitzgerald Kennedy. And his speech was, "Before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth." These were the words of Kennedy related to achieving this goal of sending of the first man or human on the moon. Right, now the next one we're gonna talk about another event that shocked the world, and it happened in 1986. This time was a nuclear disaster, or the nuclear disaster of Chernobyl. Well, the Chernobyl disaster was a nuclear accident that occurred on 26th of April 1986 at the number 4 reactor of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Chernobyl nuclear power plant near the city of Pripyat in the north of Ukrainian SSR in the Soviet Union. At that point, Ukraine was under the Soviet Union sovereign. And the nuclear disaster was called the worst ever civil nuclear incident. It is one of only two nuclear energy accidents rated at the maximum severity on the International Nuclear Event Scale, the other being the 2011 Fukushima disaster. Right. Good. The next one happened in 1989, and it's related by the fall of the Berlin Wall. The Berlin Wall that separated West Berlin and East Berlin. The fall of the Berlin Wall was the first step towards German reunification. In 1989, political changes in Eastern Europe and civil unrest in Germany put pressure on the East German government to loosen some of its regulation on travel to West Germany. The wall came down partially or partly because of a bureaucratic accident, but it fell a wave of revolution that left the Soviet-led communist bloc teetering on the brink of collapse and helped define the New World Order. Good. Now, after the fall of the Berlin Wall, the next step was the collapse of the Soviet Union. In somehow it is related, and this happened in 1991 after a process of disintegration started in 1989. But this was the peak in 1999, collapse of the Soviet Union, but started in 1989. Well, what actually happened is that in 1989, Mikhail Gorbachev effort to reform the Soviet political and economic system of the Soviet Union system in attempt to stop a period of political settlement and economic backslide failed. The Soviet Union had experienced internal stagnation and ethnic separatism. Although highly centralized, the Soviet Union had experienced. The country was made of 15 top-level republics that served as homelands for different ethnicities. Alright, by the late 1991, amid the catastrophic political crisis, with several republics already departing the Soviet Union, and the warning of centralized power, the leaders of 3 of its founding members declared the Soviet Union no longer existed. After that, 8 more republics joined their declaration of independence, and the consequence was that Gorbachev resigned in December 1991, and what was left of Soviet parliament voted the end of itself, ending the Soviet Union and starting the new independent Russia. Or the new state, independent state of Russia. Good. Next. The terrorist attacks in 2001, another event that shocked and changed the world afterward. Al-Qaeda terrorist against the United States on Tuesday, September 11, 2001. In that morning, 1919 terrorists hijacked 4 commercial airlines scheduled to travel from New England and Mid-Atlantic regions to east coast of California. The hijackers crashed the first 2 planes into the twin towers of the World Trade Centers in New York City, 2 of the 5 tallest buildings in the world at that time, and they aimed the next 2 flights towards targets in or near Washington, D.C. The third team succeeded in crashing into the Pentagon, the headquarters of the U.S. Department of Defense in Arlington County, Virginia, while the 4th plane crashed in rural Pennsylvania following a passenger revolt. The attacks killed nearly 3,000 people. 3,000 people died and afterwards instigated the multi-decade global war on terror. Okay, and now a very sad event that happened in 2009. It was the death of Michael Jackson, and I was a big fan of Michael Jackson. Alright, well, on June 25, 2009, the American pop singer Michael Jackson died of acute propofol intoxication in Los Angeles, California, at the age of 50. His physician, Conrad Murray, said that he found Jackson in his room at his North Colwood dry home in Holmby Hills area of the city, not breathing and with a weak pulse. The paramedics treated Jackson at the scene, but he was pronounced dead at the Ronald Reagan Medical Center in Westwood. On August 28, 2009, the Los Angeles County Department of Medical Examiner coroner concluded that the Jackson's death was homicide. Murray was convicted of involuntary manslaughter in November 2011 and was released in 2013 after serving 2 years of prison sentence. Alright. The next event happened in 2020 and affected us all. Well, it's about the COVID-19 pandemic. On the COVID-19 pandemic, also known as the coronavirus pandemic, was or is, I don't know, maybe it is also a global pandemic of coronavirus disease that started in 2019, and they are caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus or SARS-CoV-2. The novel virus was first identified in an outbreak in the Chinese city of Wuhan. In December 2019, attempts to contain it there failed, allowing the virus to spread to other areas of Asia and later worldwide. The pandemic has triggered sparked several social and economic disruptions around the world, including the largest global recession since the Great Depression. So, the large global recession since the Great Depression. Widespread supply shortages, including food shortages, were caused by supply chain disruption and panic buying. Reduced human activity led to an unprecedented decrease in pollution. So I think the unprecedented decrease in pollution is a good fact. Okay. The next one is event happened almost 2 years ago in 2022, and it's about the Russian invasion of Ukraine on 24th of February 2022. Russia invaded Ukraine in an escalation of Russo-Ukrainian war, which began in 2014. Prior to invasion, Russian troops concentrated near Ukraine's border, as Russian officials denied plans to attack. Vladimir Putin announced a special military operation only. Special military operation, but to support the breakaway Republic of Donetsk and Luhansk. Many countries imposed sanctions on Russia and its ally Belarus, and provided humanitarian and military aid to the sales of Ukraine. That special military operation proved to be a large-scale invasion. After that, protests occurred around the world with anti-war protesters in Russia, and subjects to mass arrest and increased media censorship. As consequences, or the aftermath, over 1,000 Western companies left Russia and Belarus in the response of invasion. And this is how we will end the debate about the most shocking, let's say, events that occurred in 20th centuries and started in the first start of the 21st century. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you very much for watching. I wish you all the best, and we will see next time. That will be tomorrow with an ASMR geography session. Bye bye.